So let us have a look at what we did last time. So last time we did factorization, and I am going to share that screen with you again. That one. All right, so everyone can see the factorization PowerPoint. If you can't see it, please type a chat so that we can find out what the problem is. So remember, we start on factorization. We found out through factorization why we factorize was to change an expression of many terms to one term. And why we need one term, because when we cancel and solve, we need one term. Our stuff gets rather complicated. All right. So I said to you there are going to be two types of factorization you're going to be dealing with. The one type is the common factor, and we're only going to be looking at a monomial common factor being one term. The other two you'll be looking at next year in your IGCSE course. And essentially, the whole point of a common factor is to reverse the distributive law. So you're trying to break up the two terms or however many terms that you have into its different factors, and then you find something that's common between them. You write it once in the front of the expression, and then in brackets, you write what is left after you take out that common part. All right. We also found that if your common factor is the entire term, you cannot just leave it. You then need to write a 1 to ensure that when you use distributive law on it to reverse your factorization, remember because I said they were opposites, then you would end up with the same amount of terms. If you didn't, you would end up with a different amount of terms, and you're changing the expression. So remember, when you take out a common factor, you are essentially dividing all of the terms by that expression, and that is why you write a 1, because if you divide something by itself, the answer is 1. We know this. And I asked you to do some homework. Hopefully you did it or didn't do it. Whether you did or didn't, that's up to you guys. It depends on, therefore, how much you're going to get out of this lesson. So I asked you to do, first of all, these 3. So in this, my common factor was A. So when I take out A from this term, you're left with B. If we take out A from this term, you're left with a 2C. And if you take out A from this term, you're left with a minus 3D. If you have a look at number 2, now there is a common factor where there's a number and a variable, because 2 can go into each number. And there's an A squared, an A cubed, and an A. Therefore, the highest power that is common is just A. So when we divide A squared by A, we get A. And we divide 4 by 2, we get 2. So that if you use distributive law, 2A times 2A gives me my 4A squared. Similar thing here, divide by 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3. We have it 1A on the outside, we need 3, so we leave 2 on the inside. We have no B's on the outside, therefore both B's come onto the inside. And then we have a 2A here and a 2A there, which means that we need to just put a 1 because it is the same thing. Remember that there's a minus there, and that's why there's a minus there. Have a look at number 3. We have A squared as a common. We've got X squared and X. Therefore, just X is common, not X squared, because there's only one X in this term. So therefore, your first term, you've taken out an A squared. You've taken out 1X, leaving 1X. And on the second term, you've got your minus. You've got a 3. You've taken out your A squared. You've taken out an X, leaving a Y remaining. I also asked you to do exercise 1. And that was 6 questions. So we can go through this as well. So 9x minus 45y, you can take out 9 as a common factor. So if you take out 9, that leaves you just with x minus 45 divided by 9 gives 5, and therefore 5y. The p squared q cubed minus pq squared, there is 1 p that is common and 2 q's that are common. So pq squared. And then you have, if you take out 1 p, that leaves you with a p on the inside. You take out 2 Q's, that leaves you with 1 Q on the inside, minus, that is my common factor, therefore I put a 1. And we have 5a squared minus 10ab minus 5b squared. We have a common factor of 5. So once we take out 5, we're left with a squared here, minus 10 divided by 5 gives me 2ab, minus take out a 5b squared. But it's important to remember that with all of this, there is no other common factor. Even though a appears in 2 of the 3 terms, it's only 2 of the 3. So it's not a common factor to all of them. B appears in 2 of the 3, but not in all 3, and therefore it's not a common factor. If we have a look at number 4, we have minus 6ab cubed plus 4cb squared minus 2db. So this, you have 2 options. And you might then ask, well, how do I know which option I'm meant to be choosing? And the answer to that is it really depends on what you need to be in the brackets. Because when you start canceling later on, you might find that the signs inside the bracket are the wrong way around. And if you need that, then you're going to have to take out a minus instead of a plus. But all of that is later to come in your IG course. So at the moment, if you got one of those 2 answers, you're totally correct. So if you take out just a 2b, 6 divided by 2 is 3. Keep the minus there. Then you got an a. You've got 3 b's here. You've taken out 1. That leaves 2 inside the brackets. You've got a plus 4cb squared divided by 2b. The 4 divided by 2 gives 2. You keep your plus. You keep the c because nothing's happening. But you have 2 b's. You're dividing by b. Leaves you with 1b there. And then our common factor 2b, which just leaves minus d over there. If you had a minus over there, you took out a minus, the only thing that would change are the signs that are in front of each of these. So that becomes a plus, that becomes a minus, and that becomes a plus, as shown over here. You have a look at number 5, common factor of 4, a squared b cubed, because the highest power of a is 2, the highest power of b is 3. That is common to all terms. Then you have an 8, a 16, and a 36. So highest common factor between all of those 3 numbers is 4. So 16 divided by 4 gives me 4. I've got 4 A's. I'm taking 2 out, leaving me with 2. I've got 8 B's. I'm taking 3 out. That leaves me with 5. And then we have, with the 4 here, minus 8 divided by 4 gives me minus 2. The a cubed, I've got 3 A's. I'm taking 2 out, leaves me with 1. I've got 7 B's. I'm taking 3 out. That leaves me with 4. Then over here, we've got a 36 divided by 4 gives me 9. I've got 2 A's. I'm taking out 2 A's. I'm done. B cubed, I've got 3 B's. Taking out 3 B's. I'm done. I don't have any A's or B's left in that expression inside the brackets. And then you come to number 6. Now, number 6 you could do again in 2 ways. And it all depends on what you want in the brackets. Most of the time, next year, you'll find that you probably want this to be in the bracket rather than that. But for our purposes now, just teaching you how to take out a common factor, either one is totally acceptable. So you can either take out a quarter, and we have 2 A's that are common and 2 B's that are common. And then you have the quarter there already. You've got the 2 A's out already, and 2 out of the 3 B's, leaving just 1 B inside the brackets, minus, and then you've got a quarter here, and a quarter times a quarter gives a 16th. You've taken out 2 A's from 3 A's, leaving 1 A on the inside, and then 2 B's are there. You've taken out both B's, which means you don't have to worry about any B's again. Or you can take out a 16th, which means that the B and the A and the minus are exactly the same. The only difference now is that a quarter divided by a 16th gives 4, because you can tip in times. So a quarter divided by a 16th is the same as a quarter times 16. So 16 divided by 4 gives me my 4, and taking out the 16th as a common factor just leaves a 1 over there. Any questions from these two exercises? Any questions you want me to re-explain or go through again? So then what we're going to do is we're going to move on to our next part, and that is grouping. Now, grouping is an extension of your foundation work. It is very much in your IG work, but it is also in your foundation textbooks. So it is a slight extension at the time, but you will have to know this. So the whole point of grouping is that you're going to have more than 3 terms. And 98 to 99% of the time is going to be 4 terms. Your aim is to group these into pairs, being 2 terms and 2 terms. And then you're going to look for a common factor in each of those pairs separately, with the aim of getting the brackets that are going to be remaining to be equal. And the point of that is that those brackets will then become a common factor. So here is your example. We are using these 2 as 1 term, as 1 pair, and these 2 as 1 pair. So we can easily see that A and A is a common factor. So when you take out A, you're left with a C, a minus, and a D. Now, you need to have a sign over here. This sign is either going to be a plus or it is going to be a minus. How do you know which one it's going to be? Well, it actually doesn't matter, because you can put either one and then look at it again and change it later if you need it to be changed. So they decided to put a minus here. If there's a minus here, you need to be very careful about this middle sign. So I've got a minus B on the outside because B and B are common factors. So once we take out the B, take out the B, but also take out a minus, we're left just with C, and that's why there's C over there. But this plus sign, because we're taking out a minus, changes to a minus sign, and that's why it's minus D. If that was a plus, your bracket would become minus C plus D. And as I said to you, you would find that the signs are wrong, but the expression is right. So one bracket was C minus D, and one bracket was minus C plus D. That's the indication to you that this middle sign over here needs to be the other one. Because when in swapping this sign, these signs inside the bracket are also going to swap. That'll become a plus, that'll become a minus, and then these 2 brackets are equal. So then we can take out these brackets as a common factor over there. And then what is left? Well, you're left with an A, a minus, and a B. And that is your factorization. Because because you've now factorized it into 2 sets of brackets multiplied, which makes 1 term. Okay, so then you guys are going to be doing number 1, 2, 3, and 4. But now 4 gets a little bit fun. Am I going to be giving you 3? No, I'm not giving you 3. So what we can do with 3 is, let's ignore those squares. And let's make that a plus, just to make life a little bit more complicated. Okay. What makes this one slightly more complicated is that at the moment, it's 3 terms. But you can use distributive law here to distribute the a into the brackets. We've got a squared plus 3a plus ab plus 3b. And in doing that, you have now created 4 terms. And with 4 terms, you can do grouping. And then you're going to decide which ones you're going to group, how you're going to do it, and then do your grouping factorization. All right. So you're confused by number 1. So you need to make sure that you choose the right grouping. Because if you choose the wrong grouping, you're not going to get the right brackets. So if you choose, for example, this one and this one, you find that you can take out a common factor of 3 here, leaving 2b minus 5c, 2b minus 5c. You can do that. If you group that one and that one, so the first and the fourth, and in the middle 2, you can take out a common factor of 2b, leaving 3 minus 2. And here it'll be a 3 minus 2. So you can do that grouping as well. So I'll do one of the versions for you. So I'll group, just to change up from the example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to group first and fourth, second and third, just to show you that you can have any combination. So 6bx minus 4by, I can take out a common factor of 2b. So take out 2b here, you divide by 2b, that leaves you with 3x. If I divide by 2b here, that leaves me with minus 2y. And then looking at this one, do I pick a plus? Do I pick a minus? If you are unsure, always put a plus, because with a plus, your signs will never change. All right. So then we have a common factor here, common factor of a 5c. And then we have divide by 5c here, leaves me with minus 3x. And divide by 5c here, leaves me with a plus 2y. Now we notice these signs are opposite, which means I chose the wrong one. I make that a minus. That becomes a plus. That becomes a minus. And now they are the same bracket, which means I can take out this bracket once as a common factor. And then I'm left with a 2b minus 5c. And that's my answer. All right, so I am going to get you guys just to do these. I do have a whole nother page of these to give you that you can do probably next week. I just want you guys to practice these a bit. You can then mark it to make sure you understand. And then once you understand, you can then get proper practice doing those.